Hey, this is Natalie from Naturally Create, and welcome to my YouTube channel. In this video, I'll be setting up my bullet journal for 2026. First, let's start off with the journal I'll be using this year. Every year, I use an A5 dot grid journal. This one is from Yop Tom. It's got this gorgeous vegan leather cover with a gold foil on the front, and it's got all the usual features of a strap and bookmark. It's also got this key and index pages, which I won't be using. I don't use them usually, but they're here if you want them. And then in the back pocket, it's got my favorite feature of all, which is this pre-printed grid guide, which means I don't have to set one up, and it's got both horizontal and vertical layouts for all of my needs. This has been so helpful already, and I look forward to continuing to use it in the future. Let's flip this over and get ready to get started with our first layout. So this is actually the third grid page. We'll come back to the earlier pages. I know that's a little bit confusing, but before we dive into the layout, I wanted to share the tools I'll be using. So first, we have our Amazon Basic Marker. Yeah, big Amazon fan. And then I have my Sunacme brush pens. These are numbered. There's a set of 110. It's a great bargain. Again, from Amazon, link below. And these are my TwinTone Tombows. For those of you starting bullet journaling, I highly recommend an art pencil. This one's a 6H. I use it to set up all of my layouts up front. So this first layout is what I'm calling a year at a glance. I'll be drawing and writing a bunch of things. I'll be fast forwarding a bunch of this because it's really boring and you don't want to watch it in real time. When I'm drawing a bunch of boxes here, one for each month, you'll notice pretty soon that I have 13 of them. That's for a very specific reason. Oh yeah, next step. Don't be afraid of using ordinary pencil in your journal. Do it all the time. You can see I'm using it to fill out my monthly calendars up here. And there you go. I made a mistake. I erase it. I fix it. Now I'm done. And now I'm jumping ahead to finishing off that last calendar because honestly, again, boring. You don't want to watch me write all of these calendars out. Not fun. And a little bit hand-crampy, honestly. There you go, fixing it up again with the pencil, not a problem. And that's all of my calendars filled out here. You can see I have 13. That's because I use a special calendar for this, which is also why I have to write it out again by hand every year. Putting in my titling now, as you can see, it's a weird number. I use a religious calendar. So this is where I write out my religious calendar, which I refer to pretty often, especially when I'm setting up my other calendars throughout the year. It's nice to know when the holidays fall out. Back to what I'm doing. This is actually kind of not drop shadow exactly. I only use the bottom sides for the effect that I want. Just doing a little bit of touch up here and thickening it up. And then I go in with my black fine liner. I believe this was a 0.3. Doesn't really matter the brand. This is something I bought in a craft shop. And I'm just going around and outlining every single number, or in future tales will be letters, just to make it stand out a bit more against the white paper. I know this is a little bit of a complicated lettering style, but I really like it, and I think it will go well with my theme for this year, even if it takes a little longer to go back over with all the different layers. I'm now going back in with that same 0.3 fine liner and doing fairly simple bubble lettering, but more angled and rounded to write all of my subtitles. This one is Year at a Glance. As we continue and finish up these titles, we will get to our next trick, which is keep a white gel pen at hand to fix up those errors with the fine liner. I like the stereotypical white uniball, which I couldn't find with this journal, so whoops. As you can see, I'm putting in my monthly headers, and I'm writing from right to left, not from left to right. That's because I am a bilingual bullet journaler, and also why I need to constantly write these by hand. But that is this page done. Obviously, if you're not doing that, you can use month stickers and not get a hand cramp, but that's why I do this page. You can also use this page for birthdays or holidays or basically any kind of information that you don't need to have a detailed key for. Now that we're done, let's move on to the next spread. So this is actually the most involved spread I do. It takes 4 pages, not 2. It's my future log, which I'm going to put there. The next 6 months on the spread. I have a little illustration there, which I'll get to. And let's get started. So while video me is grabbing my pens and markers and getting started on this headline, which is going to be next level, I can get into a little bit of a real talk moment. I've been in a little bit of a bullet journal slump. Yes, this is my first video, and I've been bullet journaling for several years, but that's kind of fallen by the wayside these past couple of years. I just haven't gotten really into it. So I was thinking of what I could do this year to rejuicify, if you will, my bullet journaling practices. So first, of course, there's this video. I hope that finally being on YouTube will make me more accountable to myself to have that external motivation. But the other thing I realized is my favorite months, my favorite times with my journals in the past have been when I just let it all go and let the geek flag fly. So I don't know that I would call myself a gamer, but I've been a very big fan of all sorts of video games for a very long time. Jumping back into the design itself, I'm going back in with my fine liner now that I finish my header, and I'm doing box for each month and flipping it over, making sure I'm lined up, and doing the next 6 months on the side. I usually actually get a full year into my journals, so I like having the full 12 months at the start of each journal. I know a lot of people say 6 months, and this is actually only 160 pages, not my usual 192, so I'm just hoping for the best here, but I've changed how I journal over the years, so should still be fine. Now I'm making a little drop-down arrow underneath each box for the events of each month. I thought this would be a cute little nod to that theme that I'm going for, of drop-down menus. That's all those arrows done, and I can go in with writing the months. Again, I erased it because I wrote the month wrong and start over, and you won't even notice in the final. And I love pencils, but we're about to jump forward because, again, this is very, very boring to watch, at least to me. And while it's very relatable, you don't really want to watch me getting a hand cramp even in 4 times speed. So I'm just going to carry on with writing out my calendars. I'm using the same calendar app I use for my yearly glance, even though it's not on my phone. I still like writing it all out in my journal and having myself organized. Now I'm coming in for my illustration, which again, I'm going with a video game theme. So I thought it would be nice to do a little bit of a retro video game arcade machine here as the decoration for this page. I usually try to pull in the cover design of my journal into my yearly setup, which is what you see me doing here. And this is when video me realized that I forgot to draw the coin slot on my arcade machine. But yeah, now I'm coloring in my joystick and little buttons, just a couple of accent colors, drops of red and yellow. And as a final design element, I decided to put these kind of stripes, like 80s retro stripes. I tried an ombre, but it didn't really work, so I just decided to do the whole line in the darker blue with a lighter blue on top, and I like that much better. I am not putting a heading on the second page of the suture log because I am doing a Dutch door. This hack I believe about from Joshi Coin. I glued down the top over there so that I can flip it without messing up the binding. And it's done. We're moving on to the next layout. So this is my health tracker. I suppose technically my period and health tracker, as I am a person in possession of a uterus. I'm showing a little key shape and my little life hearts, which I color in, and then realize that I colored in all of them, and so I add in one more that I color in halfway. And now we're going for the title, and I can explain this layout. I got this idea originally from Plant-Based Bride, and it's a way for me to track various health symptoms, things like that, as well as my period and mental health, and see how they relate to each other, because that's helpful for going to doctor's appointments and things like that. So I track my anxiety here, my period, my migraines, days I felt nauseous, and I even have a special symbol that I put on some of those things for when I took medicine for that. I know that makes me sound like a totally weird and unhealthy person, but I'm really fine. It's just good to have it all in one place, so when I talk to my doctor and say, hey, I've been having more migraines, I can pull open this page, which I've done, and be like, look, I have had 10 migraines in the past 12 days, which is like a typical August for me, unfortunately. Heat is a main trigger. Here I am, putting in the final headings. I give each month 2 columns, so I have one that's straight for tracking my period, and one that tracks all those other symptoms and health conditions. And now I'm starting to go in with my colored markers and pens and things. I thought it would be a cute idea if each one of these other spreads is kind of like a level in my 2026 video game. So I'm using yellow, green, and blue a lot to kind of indicate that like hilly, classic video game level or background. Now I've already started on my next spread, which is my schedules and routines. I don't really use goal setting so much in my bullet journal. I know that a lot of people find that that's the point, but for me, it's not. So I find that having this ideal week set up where I have my schedule at the top and my routines at the bottom on a day, week, and month level is kind of a good goal for me. I'm jumping again here because I just realized how much of this is me tracing letters. I'm drawing my little hourglass, I'm coloring that in, and I'm putting in my headings for the hours and the days of the week. I only have here for Sunday, which is when my week starts, through Friday. I don't really need to schedule weekends so much. And I was putting in my hours again in pencil. I always do Sunday starts. I forgot to mention that when I was doing my future log and my week at a glance. So I leave out of my calendars the days of the week. Here I'm just finishing up my heading and dividing it up, and I make a little drop-down menu for my morning and evening routines under my daily section. And then I realized I made a big mistake. I, first of all, forgot to record where I colored it in, and second, I made a big mistake where I switched the weekly and monthly columns. Embrace imperfection. It's very important. You will make mistakes, and you can either stress yourself out or you can accept it and move on. As someone who suffers from anxiety and perfectionism, especially when it comes to my art, this was a big lesson to learn. Now we're up to the next spread, which is the replay spread. I'm calling it for the video game theme I'm going with. It's a year in review spread where I can record both my monthly themes and some memories from each month. So I'm drawing a kind of replay arrow here with my title, and then we move on to drawing a box, as we've done so many times before, each month. But this one I do all 12 months on one spread. And for this one I decided to go in and number them rather than write the name of the month. And also I don't actually put the calendars here, obviously. I leave those blank with thumbnails. And now I do my little drawing illustration for this page, which is one of those classic game controllers, and put in high hitting lines. And this page is all set up. Well, I'm ready for my next spread, which I actually flip over the back of the journal. I go to the last page. Technically, I would use this page, but I'm not using it because there's this pen test page. So use the last page. And this is actually not a page that I've seen anybody else do. I call it my this to that page. I don't know how many of you out there have switched between the US and a metric country or need to communicate between the US and a metric country. But I do, and I find it very helpful to have a page in the back of my journal where I can track my conversions. So I started drawing the columns and then just to go back through the whole border, finishing up my columns. I have column for name, weight, temperature, and cooking. I draw this box also. You can see me counting. This is actually, I'm doing the months backwards here. I like doing a currency conversion tracker on this page as well. I'm coming in now with my colors again, drawing some coins because I have that big empty space on this page, and coloring in the background. But basically, this page I like having as a quick reference guide for myself, and the currency converter is something that I check every month. I make a little mark as to what the currency is on the first and last of the month. I do a little flag for my victory because we're at the end of the journal. Just coloring that in with a brush pen, and this page is basically done once we add our stripes. Again, this is a unique page to me, but I'd love to know below if you'd find a page like this useful in your journal. Our next spread is here on the inside front cover. It's a name page, but I'm going to ignore that for now. I forgot to film this. I have, upside down, this little sketch front and back of the super solvent. If you know, you know, and I hope you do. And I also have this folded paper, which is actually from my Napoleon notebook from Richard Olive. I got that a few years ago. And I'm drawing a little screen here, which is going to be colored in. I like doing this, having a little footer flat. I think I got this also either Joshi Coin or Plant-Based Bride. I drew those measurements in, by the way, with a zebra Mildliner. I would recommend those if you're going to buy anything that's like your stereotypical bullet journal tools. They're the best. Bought them years ago and they still work great. Color that in, some light gel pen, black fine liner to go over the layers and make them more visible. And this one says help, like it's the help screen of after 2026 game. The little super server is kind of a tab. It's just sticking him down there. And it serves as a quick reference for all the things I need. Now when I'm doing gears, I'm checking where the blue is, so I have the placement. I've noticed in journals you can kind of feel where the covers are. And using this double-sided sticky tape roller, also goodbye, get it wherever. I glue this down, just checking that when I open it, everything works. And now I'm making my key here, not on the page inside. So I have this for my bullets and my events. Here you can see better. I have regular task, completed, partially completed, migrated, canceled, those kinds of things. And then I have a color for different kinds of events, like birthdays and holidays. This is going to be, yes, I'm not doing that yet. Now I'm going back finally to that first page. I have these printouts, just lining it up. And this is my welcome, hello, whatever you want to call it. I did this on the computer. Again, thank you, Joshi Coin. I do all of my layouts on the computer now. And sometimes even as detailed as this, or more complicated things. And this is my quote page, the page after, next to that year glance you saw me set up at the beginning of the video. And again, double-sided tape. I like it because I can reposition it, sticking back down. So I like having a word of the year or a theme, which is gain, as in find the joy. This year and this year are too empty for me. So here I am putting in a little bit of decoration, your stereotypical buttons, that big start button, and 4 side buttons for a video game in an arcade kind of thing, outlining it for your dimension. These kind of dart a little bit off center. Again, embrace for imperfection. I also outline my printouts to kind of make it less free-floating, unanchored. Realized over here that I needed to glue it down a bit more because my outlining wasn't going well. So there we go, sticking it down, checking that out, and checking my placement, of course, and drawing the same exact set of buttons over here to tie it all together. Now, with these pages done and seeing these layouts, I finally go back, start the full flip-through. While you're watching Flipthrough, I just really want to thank you for being here for this, watching through to the end here. And I also got this idea from Beth and Beyond, which is to have a yearly theme, which is video games for me for 2026. So I'd love to hear below if you've gotten this far. Maybe put a little icon if you want, but I'd love to hear what your favorite video games are, or which ones you'd like to see represented in upcoming monthly themes. I have some ideas, but I don't have a full year plan yet, and I'd love to hear your thoughts. Thank you for joining me on this journey, and I can't wait to see you for my January setup.